Wednesday. Today is episode 19, and today we're chatting with fellow dental professional Alyssa, who has her own teeth whitening location called Smile Nova Whitening. And it is going to be such a great chat because, Alyssa, how the heck have you built a business that has 6 chairs, 2 employees, and it hasn't even been 2 years? Give us the scoop. Before we get into our episode for this week, let's take a moment to thank our sponsor. Thanks so much to Fern Whitening Supplies. Fern is a Canadian distribution company that is covering all things teeth whitening, providing you with the best chairside whitening essentials or even the white labeled retail Elevate line, which is going to help you build your business without somebody else's brand name. Fern has all of your goodies, so make sure you check them out. Now let's get on with the show.
Yeah, so I guess I can go back a little bit more. So I've been a dental hygienist for a long time, and by that I mean like a few years, but it feels like a long time. And I actually started with a good friend of mine from dental hygiene school. We started a teeth whitening studio together, just kind of on a whim. We were just like, hey, let's do this. We kind of had learned that in school, and we were both like had this like entrepreneurial mindset. Like our husbands have that too. So I think we got that from them. And then us chatting together, we're like, we should do this. And we just kind of went for it. So I did that for a year with her up in Idaho. And then my husband and I, once we got pregnant with our first baby, we wanted to be in Arizona with family. So we moved down here and basically started it here. So I had a year of experience doing it with my friend up in Idaho, and we were able to take all of the things that I learned there, all the good things that we did, all the mistakes that we made, and basically just try to do that down here, but better, like on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So we kind of just decided like, well, if we're going to do it, we want to do it big from the beginning. So let's find a big location. Let's put in 6 chairs. Like, how amazing would it be if we ever got them all full at the same time? I don't know if we ever will, but let's try it. And we basically, it took a while to find a place, but we got the chairs in. And finding our employees was honestly by accident. In the beginning, I was just going to do it myself. And that would save on payroll expenses for a while, and just while things were getting started, getting our name out there. And we started getting busy a lot faster than I was expecting. And I actually had a couple people reach out to me like, hey, are you guys hiring? And I found 2 girls that are absolutely amazing. I trust them with anything, and kind of had them come on part-time. And then it just got to the point where I was like, okay, I just need you guys here on these certain days. And so that's kind of how it started.
That is so incredible. And it's so cool to hear that, you and your friend, and then now yourself in Arizona, it's like you're just learning it in real time. Everything that you're doing is from your own like experience and what's worked and what hasn't worked. Now, let's go back to when you were in hygiene. Now, here in Canada, we don't really focus a lot on teeth whitening in our schooling, regardless if it's assisting, hygiene, or even for dentistry. Now, what's it like in the States? Like, do you guys really cover chairside whitening very much in school, or not so much?
Yeah, not too much. I remember we had a company that came in and taught us how to do like chairside whitening, and we all got to practice. We practiced on each other. And I remember that day in class, I was like, this would be really cool to do myself one day. But I was just so excited to become a hygienist that I had kind of pushed that aside. So we didn't honestly learn too much about it. We did learn the technique, but honestly didn't spend too much time learning the science of everything, or really any more than just like a single day working on that. So not too much in dental hygiene school.
No, and isn't it crazy how I'm sure you kind of find this too, is like, especially whitening in the dental world, it's very held by just a couple companies, and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of just run the scope of chairside whitening, and dental offices don't question the product or the technique, and that's just, it's always been that way. And I think it's going to continue that way unless some big changes happen. But so were you finding that when you were doing hygiene, were patients like kind of inquiring about teeth whitening that kind of got in your realm of like, okay, I
Mhm.
should do this?
Yes, I had like all ranges of my patients that were asking about it. And I mean, I had, my teenagers, my early 20s that were just super interested in like their image on social media, which is great. And all the way up to patients that were 60, 70 years old that were asking for it. And so I had a lot of people asking about it. Um, and what we would do is we would make them custom trays and send that
Big
home
help.
with them. And then I would get to follow up with them in 6 months and ask them, like, hey, how did the whitening go? And they would tell me, they're like, well, I did it for a few days, but it kind of sucks. Like, you have to
Right?
do that every single day to get results. And my teeth are super sensitive. And so from there, I was like, okay, well, let's maybe try this kind and send them home with that. And then I'd follow up with them 6 months later and same thing. And my office kind of offered like chair side whitening, but they really didn't like to do it. They didn't like to give up chair space to do that.
For sure.
So basically, I would tell people, like, yeah, these are really the only options that we have. And that's truly where that idea was like, okay, I should do this. Like, so many people are interested in it. I feel like I took like 4 years of gathering data just with my own patients, and just found that there was a need for it. And there was a need across a whole range of people, not just maybe one group of people that we might
For sure.
assume,
Yeah.
but a lot of people were super interested in it.
Yeah. And that's full on real market research. You were in it and you were seeing it from all different aspects. So that's so cool that you really took your time and kind of studied about, okay, who would my clients be? Where would that, you probably were able to kind of feel out a little bit for like price point too, right? You're probably like, where's that line? Because as we know in the dental office, it's very high, but outside you can obviously get it down a lot more. Now, when you're in Idaho, were there other locations or was there a lot of other options outside of the dental office for teeth whitening? Or were you guys kind of like the first starters? You were. That's
We were the first
amazing.
ones, which was funny because I was actually living in Utah at the time. And my friend was living in Idaho. That's where she was from. And when I don't know why we had this idea, like, let's start this together, even though we live in different states. And it turned into us moving up to Idaho for a year to go do that and start it all. And the reason we did that was because in that town there was no whitening outside of the
Like
dental
it
office,
all.
or probably even in the dental offices too. And where we were at in Utah, there was, one or two companies that were kind of doing the same thing. But yeah, we were essentially the first ones to do it in that area.
That's huge, right? And so what was the back like from the dental community? Because when I opened my location here, they didn't love it. How did it go when you guys opened?
Yeah, so I was working at kind of more temping at an office that was there that my friend had been working at too. So they knew from the beginning this is what we were doing. They knew that's why I moved up there, and they were actually super supportive of it.
That's
They started
amazing.
referring people to us, um, but I knew, like, the dental office that I had worked for in Utah for a while. I absolutely love that office. I miss it so much. But I knew that my dentist there didn't really approve of people doing it outside of the dental office. So I've had that in my mind since then, that I'm like, oh, everyone, I'm going to get so much pushback. I'm
Right?
super nervous to do this. But we've received so much support in Idaho. And coming down here, we've actually been able to partner with orthodontists, have them refer people to us. And so I think the pushback that we've gotten is all in my mind. I have not actually received one person pushing back. And since then, I've actually had a lot of fellow dental hygienists that have started doing teeth whitening as well. My friend and I were the first ones that we knew that were hygienists that had started. And then multiple people from our class, our graduating class joined, even a couple of our instructors started doing teeth whitening. So we had some, I know, kind of support, I guess, on that end, but it's actually generally been very supportive.
That's so good because you, I mean, it sucks when you do get that pushback, right? Because then you
Mhm.
do feel like imposter syndrome is there and you probably hold yourself back in ways that you could expand. So that's
Mhm.
amazing that you just kind of pushed through and did it. Now, you had mentioned that it kind of took you a while to kind of find the perfect location when you moved to Arizona.
Mhm.
And I know a reason why I really struggled with my storefront was I chose a really shitty location. We did not get good visualization, like cars, foot traffic, like none of that. It was a really bad area that I chose for our location. How have you found your location? Did you find that you chose a really good area? Are you getting great organic reach just from your location alone?
Yeah, we were looking for a long time and we kind of found this place by chance. It wasn't listed on any of the websites that were listing the available properties for rent. We were driving, we got to the point where we just started driving around in the areas that we wanted to be in and pulling into the little business areas and seeing if there was any openings. And we found this one. We're like, this location would be perfect. Like there is, it's a little L-shaped kind of area, and there's like four really popular places that are
Oh,
in
that's
that area. A
amazing.
couple
So it's
restaurants.
busy.
Yeah, it's busy. So, and it's honestly in the perfect location with the right demographic that we're targeting. So we were searching for a long time and then we kind of found this place by chance and it ended up being perfect. So we have gotten quite a bit of foot traffic from that. And I want to
Perfect.
do more to be able to get that foot traffic, kind of partner with some of the businesses that are right with
Mm.
us. I want to maybe put out some more signs like in front of our door just to get people who can come in and inquire about it. But we are so in love with our location.
That's amazing. So good. Now, you had mentioned that along the journey that you've been on, you've made some great decisions and you've made some not so great decisions. So, talking kind of about foot traffic and being in a popular area, obviously that helps with marketing.
Mhm.
What were some marketing decisions that you've done and wasted money on that haven't worked? Like, for example, I wasted a lot of money on radio ads and they did no return for us. What are some marketing like styles that you've tried and have been like not worth it?
I'm just laughing because we did radio ads too, and I know, and I don't think we got anybody from it. Luckily, they weren't too expensive, but we had tried mailers at one
Oh, you did
point.
try
Like we had
mailers.
someone that was trying to sell us like this is the best way, and we spent probably like $1,500 on them and got one person. So we're like, okay, that's
That's
not
a
the right
no
thing to
go.
do. And here in Arizona, we had this lady reach out to us and say, "We're doing this expo. I think it would be really great for what you're doing." And I'm a fan of doing events and talking to people. I love talking and meeting people. And she said it was a senior expo, which normally I'd be like, okay, maybe not like the demographic that we're targeting, but I'm like, but I have a huge percentage of people that are over the age of 60 that come in. So
100%.
maybe,
Yep.
maybe worth it to try. And, and she, told us how many people would be there. And then we go, and it was basically all these people are just coming for freebies. And you see them walking and like grabbing extra
Filling the bags.
chopsticks or extra things
Yep.
and putting them in their bags. And so we got nothing out of that. And we spent so much money on it. I mean, it
Oh,
was like
no,
six
like for
hundred
the
dollars, and we're
booth
like,
and
oh, so we're not doing that anymore.
it's hard, right? Because you have to get crafty, but at the same time, it's sometimes you just don't know until you try it.
Yeah,
But
and we're like willing to try pretty much anything. So,
now, usually the biggest question that I get and come across the most is a lot of the listeners on our show either have their own teeth whitening business full time or they're dental clinic owners, beauty owners, etc. that offer the service. And the biggest question that they're always asking is like, where are you finding the clients? And what would you say is your biggest traction? Is it social media? Is it that storefront location and good visualization? Like, where are you finding your clients are coming from?
We are actually getting quite a few from Google. We have a really great
Nice.
company that does our Google SEO and Google Ads. But a majority of our clients are coming from social media, from Instagram is the biggest one. We recently just kind of found our secret sauce formula on Instagram, where we essentially are just we'll kind of have some people come in that can make some content for us about the experience.
So
And
fun.
then that's what we make into our advertisements. So we boost those posts. And we've gotten a lot of people from that. And then we do get quite a few people that have found us because of foot traffic. And then another one that we're seeing a lot of success from is word of mouth, is from referrals as
Awesome.
well, which is the ultimate goal.
100%, right? But it does take time for that one. So you're always
Mhm.
like, I don't have time to wait
Mhm.
for that. But that's incredible. So you're kind of noticing a little bit from different areas, but I think it's a huge key point to point out here that obviously you are a busy location and everything that you've mentioned, like you're having to put money and time into. Like building a client list doesn't come for free and it's not going to happen overnight.
Mhm.
It's really is, it's hard. 100%. Now, kind of talking product wise, you had mentioned that you're working with a straight hydrogen product. Now, do you do it with or without a barrier?
Right now, we're doing it without a barrier. We're using the 16%, which we've explored trying. We've thought about doing a higher solution and
Mm-hmm.
using the barrier, but we've actually found that we really like the 16% just because of sensitivity wise. It's not causing as much sensitivity with our clients that some of the higher percentage solutions are. And I feel like we still get amazing results from that.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you because especially coming from the dental world, I mean, as you know, those dental brands, they're pushing those high hydrogens.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious, like, well, how did you end up kind of more at that medium strength? And I mean, if you found a sauce that like works for you, and do you find not applying the barrier, do you find that shortens your sessions too? So is it easier to have quicker appointments?
Yes, but the thing is too, we've actually been trying to research a lot into other products, which is how we found you. And the thing with that is because I feel like if I'm not always working on improving our process, we're basically dying as a business. So I feel like what we're doing right now is working well, but how can I make that more efficient? Can I find a product that we can shorten those appointment times, get the same results, but that doesn't cause as much sensitivity? And so we haven't quite got that down yet to where what we're doing right now is working really well. But how could we do that better? So we're
Yeah,
always trying. And so I keep doing a lot of research. And I feel like in my head, I'm just like, oh, we just need to do something so much better. And I need to keep changing things and fixing things, just because I feel like I always want to improve things. But then I also have to realize, okay, what we're doing right now is actually working very well. But always looking on ways that we can improve.
always as a business owner, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, I feel it. I've been there when I originally started teeth whitening. Like a company had talked me into tray application method, and like it was just you. It sounds like your process is going much smoother, but like my original process was god awful. So it's like you don't know until you've actually walked through it. You can have as much education and hands-on experience that you can have, and it still literally is just going to be a process of you just figuring out what you like working with and playing around with what's getting you the best results. So that's so fun that you've definitely found something that you love and enjoy, but you're also not ruling out possibly switching things up in the future.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I feel like just always trying to look for ways to improve the client experience. And shorter appointment times would be better, but I don't want to trade that for a lot of sensitivity after the fact.
For sure, for sure. It's such a catch-22, right?
Mhm.
Now, how long are your appointments right now? Like, how long does it take for a client to walk through your door and like you do all your like consent forms, all that fun stuff, and then from the time your employees or yourself switch over and disinfect that room, like how long does it take for a client to get in and out?
Our appointment time is 90 minutes. We plan a 90-minute block. So we're able to get most people out the door within usually less than 80 minutes. So we
Nice.
don't quite hit that 90-minute mark. But our treatment time itself is 3 20-minute rounds. So it's 60-minute treatment with, as you know, all the stuff in between.
Right? It's so funny, like when you're getting the client prepped and you're doing all this stuff, you're like, I swear, once we actually get the gel on, it's a smooth process. It's just like all those pre and post steps that take forever. But that's huge because the one of the biggest questions that I get asked all the time to really chat more about the guests with the guest on the show is what they're doing in real time, like what gels they're loving, what process they're finding is and is not working. Because I find there's definitely a big divide. Like there's a pretty big percentage that are not using barriers and sticking with the lower percentages. And then there's obviously that higher percentage that it's really, really high percentages that are being used with gingival barrier. And the price points are kind of staying the same in the market. And you really have to rule out, what am I getting a lower margin doing it one way, or is the client experience better another way? It's hard. It's really hard, but it's so fun hearing different processes. Now that you have kind of figured out what you're loving, and as we've chatted about, kind of some marketing mistakes, etc., things that you're not loving, if you could go back to old Alyssa, to when you first started, what would be a great piece of advice that you would give her for starting her business journey?
This is a funny one because I feel like starting this second location in Arizona, I didn't want to do it.
Like at
My
all.
husband was the one that was like, no, we have to do it. Come on. Like, you enjoy it. It's going to like the potential is there. So I think just realizing that there's so much room for growth in that, in this business, and that it will be so much more rewarding than I had thought before. And I truly am so passionate about it. The business itself, like my husband, who's my business partner, we talk about it all the time. We're
That's
always
so
like,
fun. It's your other
we'll walk
child.
through our studio. We're like, what can we add on this wall right here? Like, what can we do to just improve this? And whereas, working for somebody else, working a 9 to 5, I did enjoy being a hygienist. I loved talking with patients. I loved improving people's oral health. But I would go home and that's where I stopped thinking about it. So basically, I went from working a 9 to 5 to working 24/7, but enjoying it
Right.
so much more and having it be so much more fulfilling that I think I would go back and tell myself, like, it's going to be a roller coaster. Every day is going to have ups and downs, but it will be so much more rewarding. And there's so much potential for growth with this whole business, with industry, and just being a business owner in general.
Oh, 1,000%. And I mean, you're already off to an amazing start, and this service is only becoming more and more popular, right? So
Mhm.
I'm so excited to continue to follow along and see where Smile Nova ends up. Now, just in case the listeners missed it, where can we follow along with your business journey? Is there one social that you're more active on than another, or where can we get all the deets?
Yeah, I am definitely more active on Instagram. I am wanting to get on TikTok, but it's not my platform. So on Instagram, you can find me. It's at Smile Nova Whitening,
Awesome.
and that's where we're the most active.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Alyssa. It was so great chatting with you. And I know this episode is going to be so helpful, regardless of where our listeners are on their teeth whitening journey. And listeners, thanks so much for listening to another episode of Whitening Wednesday. And we will catch you again next week.